Hi everyone. So we are going to do a YouTube tutorial today on how to make these little crochet cookies. I make these and I sell them in my $5 mystery boxes. They're a huge hit. The kids are happy with the concept of the mystery box, and then they are happy when they get their little cookies. So I'm going to walk you guys through how to do that today. To start off, we're going to need a pair of scissors, obviously your standard kind of supplies, scissors. You're going to want a sewing needle, your stitch marker. I use a 5mm hook for this. I'm using Big Twist Posh. You can also do it in Premier, any of their brown colors really. Maybe the toffee might be my best recommendation for that. And then a contrasting color for either the chocolate chips or the M&Ms. So got everything we need here, and obviously you're going to need a little bit of Polyfil. You really don't need much for this project of any of these supplies. So with that, we will just kind of get right into it. So with Big Twist Posh, I'm using this light tan color. I forgot the name of it. I can post it later. As well as the dark brown color that they have. And I'm really only using like a teeny tiny scrap amount. I'm going to make the chocolate chip version in this video. So for this, I'm going to start off, when you start off with any kind of amigurumi and you're using chenille, you can use either the chain 2 method or you can use the magic ring. In this, even though Big Twist Posh is actually pretty good for the magic ring, I am going to just do the chain 2 method. So I'm going to start off, round 1 is going to be chain 2. And then in this first chain, your second one from your hook, I'm going to place 8 single crochets. And I am trying to keep a little piece of paper in the background for you guys to create a little contrast. Probably do this in continuous rounds, or excuse me, you could probably do this in joined rounds. I'm going to do it in continuous rounds, but you could do either way, whichever one you're more comfortable with. There probably won't be a very sizable gap because this is a small project. So round 2, you're going to do an increase in each stitch around. So you're going to end up with a total of 16 stitches. Stitch marker. So for round 3, you're going to do a single crochet and then an increase, and you're going to repeat that around. Round 3, and I have 24 stitches. So far I just have a flat circle. Then for round 4, I'm going to do 3 single crochets and an increase. So at the end of round 4, I'm going to have a total of 30 stitches around. For round 5, I'm just going to single crochet around. Get to the end of the round. It's going to be 30 stitches. It's going to start to curl slightly. Just moving my stitch marker. So for round 6, I am going to do 3 single crochets and an invisible decrease. I did this wrong in one of my prior videos, so I apologize for that. I'm new too. But for the invisible decrease, you just go through the front loop of the next 2 stitches, yarn over, and single crochet. And so I'm going to repeat that around. I'm going to do another 3 single crochets, invisible decrease, all the way around. Stitch there, do my decrease, move my stitch marker, and then I'll have 24 stitches around. Now at this point you can stop and you can insert your safety eyes. I like to put mine in the center of my cookie between rounds 2 and 3. Okay, so for round 7, we're going to do a single crochet and then an invisible decrease. And we're going to do that all the way around. Single crochet and an invisible decrease. Round 7, I have 16 stitches. So we're going to save stuffing till the very, very end. It's just a little bit easier with this project, and you honestly don't need very much stuffing, so it's very easy to go ahead and stuff at the end, even though your little hole is going to be pretty small. So for round 8, we're just going to invisible decrease around. So then we're at the end. We have 8 stitches in the end. And so what I'm going to do is just fasten off by pulling by inserting my hook into the next stitch, pulling the loop through all the way and slip stitching. Then I'm going to yarn over and I'm just going to pull up a tail. I'm going to leave about a 6-inch tail because we are going to cinch this closed. So I just pull the rest of the tail through. And so your cookie's going to look like this right now. It's completely flat. You have the hole in the back. You're going to go ahead and grab not very much stuffing. Honestly, this is probably too much. I mostly put the stuffing in there just to kind of make sure the safety eyes don't get in, don't poke through, and also to add a little bit of form to the cookie. So I'll kind of put it in an initial amount, then I'll kind of work it around so it's flat. Actually, I could use a little bit more stuffing. Not much more, but I'm going to throw a little extra in. It's okay if he's a little puffy when you put the stuffing in. He'll flatten out once you cinch the back closed. Go ahead, raise my camera a little bit. Okay, so now we are going to cinch closed. So what I'm going to do is grab my tapestry needle. I'm going to thread my needle. And then what I'm going to do for a cinch closure is I'm going to work through the front loop only of each stitch, back and forth, and weave it through. And I'm going to do it for each of the eight stitches around. Just through one, back the other way through the next one. That last stitch is a little tight, and that's okay. Just pull it through. And then I'm just going to tighten it. Oops, that was off camera, but you just pull it tight. Now at this point, you might find you have like a little bit of gaps or something like that. Go ahead and kind of weave your tail end through to close up those gaps. You really don't need to do too much for that with this. This is a pretty small pattern, but it helps to not have a little bit of stuffing peeking through. Now, here's a note. If your cookie came out a little bit puffy, that's okay. What you can do is just thread through the center. And when you do that, you'll thread through the center of the back, go through his little nose area, and then pull him right back. And it kind of gives it a little squish down. Don't worry about it too much if he's kind of thick. He's still cute. Alrighty. So that's it. I just wove through a few different times. Grab my scissors. Cut off my little tail. Alright, so at this point we're going to add the chocolate chips. Now to do that, I'm going to grab my little bit of brown thread, my dark brown thread. And this can really be whatever you want it to be as far as the number of chocolate chips you're going to put on here. For me, to get the chocolate chip shape, what I do is just pick a point. I go through the length of about 2 stitches, 2 rows, and I make about 3 passes. Sometimes I'll do 4 if it doesn't look like the cookie is kind of fleshed out, but usually about 3 is all I need. And I make sure to kind of do that in various places around, evenly distribute the chocolate chips. It's okay if they're different sizes. And it's okay if you didn't leave yourself enough yarn. You can just use the other end. I do that all the time. I always like to put some like right on the face, right around the edges. That way it's kind of a continuous looking cookie. And I'm going to thread it through where I have my first edge, my first thread. Looks like I kind of messed up a chip there. All right, and I'm going to go ahead, tie it off. Here are his little eyeballs scattering on the table. And I'm just going to poke it back in with my scissors. And if I need to, I go through and I kind of adjust my little chips and I trim off where any polyfill came through. All right, so now we're back to the front of the face. And we get to do both the best and the worst part of making our little plushies, which is to add the face, which brings out all of the personality, but also can be such a pain if, like me, you are terrible at making faces. So I'm going to grab a little bit of white for this one. This is how I do mine. And I am going to thread through one side of the eye. And then thread through to the other side. Sometimes it's tricky to get behind the safety eye back. So I just bring myself over here. And work the white through a stitch so that it's nice and close. My eye edge is up a little bit, I'll just tuck it. Get the little whites of his eyes, tie this off. I just want to make sure I'm through the same stitch. Not through the same stitch, it is a little bit of a pain. Tie them off. I just like to cut off that little bit of excess. And I tuck the edges in. And then what I'm going to do is grab a little bit of black for the mouth. Thread my needle. And I like to do his little mouth about one stitch. About one stitch almost directly in the middle of the two eyes. My cookie looks a little evil because of the way that the safety eye pushed against the yarn. Is it not incredibly obvious that I'm terrible at faces? But we get there in the end. Okay, so I had to quit on that one because his smile did not want to be very smiley, and that's okay. I will fix him when I'm feeling more centered. But grab my other little one just to show you guys. This is how we end up with the little smile and the cute little face going on. That's where all their little cute personality comes out. So again, that was just across about 2 stitches and then 1 stitch down to pull the smile. Now, to do the M&M variety, you're just going to pick 4 different alternating threads instead of alternating yarn instead of the brown chocolate chips. I picked yellow, red, blue, and green for mine, but you will do the exact same thing, and I hope that these bring you joy, and if you sell them, bring you a little money. All right, thanks so much, guys. If you liked this tutorial, definitely feel free to give me a like, give me a subscribe, and I am looking forward to posting more content. All right, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.